Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC on ESPN between Chris Dawkis and Curtis Blaydes. We're going to be breaking down the main event as well as another main card fight. Excited to break this one down here. I think there's a lot more layers to this, I think, that a lot of people realize. So we're going to break all that down, but we are coming off a 1-2 night last weekend on our client plays. Listen, we did hit on our 4% best bet play on Arnold Allen, and boy did he run through Dan Hooker. Able to cash in on that one, which was nice. So it was a very small loss on our client plays. Did go 2-0 on our free plays here. So listen, it was great seeing Matt Guanamiracani go out there, get the job done at plus 144, as well as Tom Aspinall. Quick work in the main event as well. So we're locked in, man. We are locked in, we are loaded, and we are ready to go in on this weekend's play. So if you're looking to be a client, link down in the description, Wagertalk.com. Take a look. If you're interested, that's where that will be. But we're going to talk 2 free plays here today, so let's get into it. And again, I always appreciate everybody who's liking, subscribing, commenting, whether it's Twitter or on YouTube here. It always just helps the channel grow, and let's help that algorithm keep going up there. So with it being said, we're going to talk the main event between Chris Dawkis and Curtis Blaydes. Currently, we've got the line is pretty wide right now. We've got it at minus 385 for Blaydes, coming back on Dawkis at plus 290. So what we do here all the time, we talk about each fighter, last 3 fights, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So what we're going to first talk about here is we're going to first talk Curtis Blaydes versus Alexander Volkov. Now, this was a very interesting fight when you go back and rewatch it, and kind of the way that these two fight. And you've got, obviously, you're going to have consistent takedown opportunities for Blaydes. The big legs of Volkov going to be shooting on him. But Volkov, the one thing about him is that, high-level kickboxer, no doubt about that, but also the fact that he's pretty good with takedown defense. Those long legs, it's hard to kind of drag him down to the floor. Also, he's been, he's at least been, I guess he's got the fight IQ to somewhat stay out of that danger. But the relentless takedowns, there was 25 takedown attempts for Curtis Blaydes in this fight. He was successful on 14 of them. Now, the scorecards had this a very close fight. 48-47 were 2 of the scorecards. One of them was 49-46. I had it 49-46, but I thought this was pretty easy. Round after round, it was just positioning for Blaydes. He couldn't really do much more there. He kept shooting. I think he had double the amount of significant strikes, but it was kind of a very lackluster kind of exciting performance there, where there wasn't any big moments there. He just stuck to his game plan, and that's where a lot of people kind of worry about, can he get finishes? Is he able to get these finishes? He's done it before in the past on certain opponents, but this was just a more of just, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to be fine, getting the rounds, taking the rounds. I don't want to be on the feet against Volkov in his kickboxing. So he goes out there and he does get the decision victory against Alexander Volkov. 2 fights he fought Derek Lewis. This is an interesting fight because this was one here again where you've got Lewis, who really is underrated when it comes to his get-up ability or how he's able to get up. I mean, he's pretty underrated with that. He's extraordinarily strong. He just kind of muscles himself out of position. So this was, or getting himself into safe positions. This was a spot here where Blaydes was going to be doing that. But the one thing here I thought that, again, there's at times he is a little patient, he's a little too patient, and this in the spot here against Lewis is pretty much he was fine kind of being at range in that first round, and I think it was more he's worried about the big shot coming his way, but he kind of just was comfortable jabbing. It looked like he wanted to, even take it to him standing, which I think is also not the smartest move against Derek Lewis, but he was giving it a little bit of a different look, where pretty much in that first round, he hardly was even shooting for takedowns, and kind of maybe looking to get Lewis a little bit tired going into that second round. So first round was kind of lackluster a little bit, but going into that second round, it was just a terribly sloppy, naked attempt at a takedown for Blaydes. He pretty much was on the outside. I think, again, he couldn't really disguise his takedowns. He wasn't as comfortable as I think that he thought he was going to be in the pocket. And this is where it gave the opportunity for the big uppercut to come in, drops Blaydes. It was almost like Blaydes was frozen in time when he fell down. He slowly fell down in the same position, knocked out, fight over, second round loss for Curtis Blaydes against Derek Lewis. And then most recently he fought Jarzinho Rozenstruik. And now this is where, basically in this spot here, which I think is, there are issues where you worry about this a little bit. Where you've got, again, Jarzinho Rozenstruik, kickboxer, very, kind of similar to Volkov, as I guess stylistically speaking. And really, Curtis Blaydes early was looking for some shots. He was looking to get those takedowns. But the thing about it is that Rozenstruik got up. And that a little bit is worrisome when you're talking about a guy who Jarzinho has shown a lot of issues when it comes down to getting these, being on his back, being taken down, taking him out of his rhythm, smothering him. That's really what Lewis was looking to do. But this fight, for the most part, was pretty much at a distance. There was a lot of times here where he was looking for takedowns. He got some takedowns. He was able to kind of utilize some of that, but a slow pace, not much volume. And I think even going into that third round, where pretty much you got to give it to the first two rounds to Blaydes. But in that third round, I mean, Blaydes kind of took off the round. I felt like he kind of stayed at range. He wasn't, looking to really engage at that point. Rozenstruik was the guy who was, obviously was appearing that he was behind at that point. And he didn't really go for it either, because he's a kind of a gun-shy kind of guy too. So this was a spot here where it just, that's why Blaydes, I think, has such an issue where people don't like him. I think it's because there's spots where he can be very boring. He's looking for positioning. He's talked about, I don't have to be flashy, I just got to get this win. So this is another spot here. It was a nice sweeping victory for him. All the judges had 30-27 for him at the end of it, so it was a nice showing for him. But he goes out there and he does get the decision victory. On the other side, we've got Chris Dawkis. 3 fights ago, he fought Olynyk. Now, this was a spot here where, and we talk about Olynyk here, his thing is he does get desperate at times for these takedowns. And this was a spot right away. He did not want any part of the striking of Chris Dawkis. So he pretty much looked to pull guard early, which I thought was really sloppy. And it allowed Dawkis to kind of land some shots. From top, he was throwing some shots up top. He was grabbing his leg, Olynyk. And even at that point where he was grabbing the leg, Dawkis is just throwing big shots from top. Olynyk gets back up, kind of looks to, get his mind right a little bit, goes back into the clinch. But the one thing that Olynyk does at spots is he shells up. And this is kind of where he did it, where anytime he faces a striker, strikers just go and they look to fire big shots. They just back up, he shells up, he knows he doesn't have the hand speed, he doesn't have the boxing, it's all about his grappling. And this was a spot here where Dawkis just teed off on him, knockout. It was a TKO victory in the first round for Dawkis, but, so there you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Shamil Abdulrahimov, and against Shamil, this is a guy who was out of fighting for 2 years. He had not fought for 2 years. This was his fight back, and I think this was one of those spots again where the UFC, let's tee up Dawkis, let's tee him up for this highlight reel knockout, this big. There is really no rhyme or reason that you're bringing in Shamil to come in this situation. But he goes in this situation here, and pretty much early in the in the fight, it actually was somewhat close. I mean, I gotta say, in that first half, I think that maybe Dawkis was kind of worried about the takedowns, and Shamil was landing some shots. And as terrible as he looked, he was landing some shots. But then, second half of that first round, then Dawkis took over. Dawkis landing big shots, pressuring, rocked him, going into that second round. Same kind of thing. It actually looked like even when Shamil got up from the corner, it looked like he was almost done. I mean, I think he was gassed. I think he was already kind of hurt, rocked from the end of that first round. But he goes into that second round. He gets nailed again, dropped, rocked, fight over. Second round knockout for Chris Dawkis. So there you have it there. And then most recently, Chris Dawkis faced Derek Lewis. Now this was actually, Lewis was a plus 130 going into this fight. This is actually the last Klein play of 2021, where I had Derek Lewis to win via knockout plus 190. Did cash. It was a nice way to finish the year off. But this is a spot here where, this was pretty much just going to be a standing brawl. I mean, you got 2 big guys that are just going to be looking to throw bombs. They're not looking to do much else. And I got to say again, you had Dawkis in a spot where I think he could have brought it to him a little bit more. I think he gave a lot of respect to Lewis. And of course, Lewis, again, guy's got, hits like a truck. I mean, the guy has the power. He has these crazy kind of, switch kicks that he does, and he does these, really snapping head kicks that he gets off there. So there is some dynamic to Lewis when it comes to that. But really, Dawkis was just, kind of just gave him spot, moved around the cage a little bit more. Did not want to stay in the pocket with him, but I thought that he could maybe have utilized his hand speed a little bit more in the situation here. But he goes in there, he gave a lot of respect to Lewis. Lewis walked him down the entire time, and then when they finally exchange, Lewis lands a big shot, hurts him, and then he just unloads, drops him. End of fight in the first round for Chris Dawkis. He loses against Derrick Lewis. So with that being said, obviously we have on the one side, we got Curtis Blaydes on the one side here. He's got the top level grappling. I mean, we know his wrestling is really top level. Most takedowns, I think, in UFC history. Top pressure, heavy top pressure. He's pretty good when he can kind of get you there. But the one thing I think that has really helped his overall ability is really the fact that he's now starting to really elevate his striking. And you've seen it. And I think, again, some of these guys sometimes fall in love with their striking. When they're a grappler, they fall in love with their striking all of a sudden. But this is a spot here where, I think that's really going to help him cut distance a lot better than he has been. And there's at times it looks a little iffy, or he throws a naked, takedown attempt, which did destroy him against Derrick Lewis. But he is elevating that striking, and that's going to help him continually try to beat some of these upper level guys. And also, Blaydes is very light-footed. He's light-footed. He's pretty quick on his, when it comes to just his in and out, kind of moving in and out. The level changes, again, are a little iffy, but he does bounce around pretty good. He does have he's got some durability. He does have a good chin. So there are some spots here where even if he does maybe get clipped by Dawkis, he may be able to survive it and look for those takedowns. On the other side, you've got Chris Dawkis. Dawkis has the power. He's also very light-footed as well, too. Quick combinations, and and he's not scared to go in and bang. But the fact that he has these quick hands is really kind of that edge that he has against some of these heavyweights. But I think first, the biggest thing here for me when we're breaking this fight down is going to be that Chris Dawkis is small for the division. He is very small for the division, and I think that this is something that I think is going to hurt him. I think that he should be probably down into light heavyweight, because he really is on that fringe of, he probably could cut down, and he's got the flabby skin where he could probably cut down a little bit more and be okay in the light heavyweight division. But he's in the heavyweight division. He's going to be giving up some size. But again, the hand speed is where I think he figures he has more success. But I think this is a spot where honestly, this is a spot where Curtis Blaydes could probably bully Dawkis around. And again, if he's got the chin and he's able to cut distance and kind of get in close and get his hands on him, that's where there could be some problems there. I think that's where, his small, Dawkis has the smaller frame, and I think at least that's where the strength and the power of being in certain positions is going to help Blaydes get Dawkis to where he wants him to be. But mixing that in is also, he's going to have to deal with the relentless takedown. So you've got a guy in Chris Dawkis that is going to be smaller for the division, and also, is going to have to deal with consistent level changing. We've seen the way that sometimes when Blaydes gets a hold of you, he's able to body slam you. He's able to get you down. He's able to do those kind of things. He's done it to much bigger guys. And I think this is where you've got a guy like Dawkis, again, who's going to be a little bit smaller. I think that's going to be a big difference maker there. Also, the fact that Dawkis, he also, he likes to move forward. That's kind of his thing. He will throw a barrage of combinations. He will look to move forward. And I think that actually hurts him in this situation here, because that's where I think that it gives open windows for level changes for Curtis Blaydes to get the level change, get top position. I think that is where he can find a lot of success. That's, and over all these rounds, that's where he can start to chip away, find opportunities, whether he's going to look for submission, he's going to look for a finish, ground and pound. Those are the things that he can do here. So I like Curtis Blaydes here, obviously. I really think that he could go out there. It stylistically does very well for him in this matchup here. But I obviously am not going to be looking to put money down on this guy at nearing minus 400. But what I do like is here, I do like Curtis Blaydes inside the distance, minus 135. We're getting off the big minus 385 number. Minus 135 and inside the distance. I think this is a spot where early on, You know, it could be a little bit scary where Dawkis is going to be throwing big shots, looking for the big shots, but I think as this fight goes on, you're going to start to see the takedowns really starting to wear down on Dawkis. Dawkis is going to really be smothered, and I think that's where the scrambling and certain scrambling is where you're going to see a submission opportunity. You're going to see some ground and pound. You're going to see top control. I think when he gets him down, he's going to be able to keep Dawkis down. And that's where he can pile up some damage and get this finish later in the fight. So I do like Curtis Blaydes inside the distance at -135 as my free play. Now, the other one we're going to be talking about here is Latifi versus Olynyk, and boy, is this a dumpster fire of a fight, but we are betting it because I think we have an angle here, so we're going to talk about it. So, right now we've got Latifi, he is -210. On the other side, we've got Olynyk, he is +168. Now, this is a spot here where you've got a guy, wrestler versus jiu-jitsu. And it's an interesting stylistic matchup here because really what's the most interesting, you've got Latifi, who's going to be the wrestler, who's going to look for top control, who's going to look for those takedowns, who's going to be, you know, seeking positioning when it comes to the grappling. And then you've got the other side, you've got Olynyk, who is okay being on his back, who's comfortable being off his back, who's, you know, wants to be on his back. You know, we've seen him where you know, he can consistently submission hunt, he can grab a limb, even standing, he can grab a limb and find a submission. So he is really, you know, when it comes to being off his back, he is absolutely dangerous when it comes to that. But before we talk about that, let's talk about on the feet first. And on the feet here, the one thing about Olynyk is he is sloppy as hell when it comes to his striking. He's wild with his striking. You know, he really pretty much uses any combination just to cut distance to level change or cut distance to get his hands on you. That's pretty much it. He doesn't really do much where he's chipping away, bouncing on the outside, throwing a combination, moving. Yes, he does that, but he's just trying to find a way to cut distance. It's pretty much all he's looking to do. He knows he's not going to he knows he's not going to knock you out. He's not going to be chipping away at the legs and then working the head. It's pretty much working, playing defense, and then cutting distance and looking to get his hands on you. Where you've got Latifi, who's a little bit more, you know, mixes it up, maybe a little bit more technical, well, probably a lot more technical when it comes to the striking. Not that Latifi is some elite level striker by any means, but when you're talking about against Olynyk, it's probably going to be better than him overall when it comes to that. But I think that really where this fight is going to be won is going to be in the clinch. It's not going to be on the outside. I don't really think you're going to see too much on the outside where both these guys jab, 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 work on the outside, jab, jab, jab. Now, it's possible that both of these guys' ground abilities nullify each other out because we've seen that, a lot of that. But a lot of times it's more or less where both guys don't even look to do it. Both guys are just like, hey, I respect your ground game. You know, you respect mine. We're going to be, you know, throwing hands. I don't think that's going to happen here because both of these guys are so dominant when it comes to grapplers. Not dominant as in they're that amazing at it. I mean, like, that's their main path to any victory is going to be takedowns, is going to be control time, is going to be submissions, is going to be sometimes a lay and pray. That's kind of where I think it's going to be. Now, when you look at the situation here where statistically, takedown success rate for Olynyk is 46% with a 33% takedown defense rate. And the other side, you've got Latifi, 34% success rate with a 100% defense rate. Now, it sounds like he's never been taken down in his pro career, so that's one thing that's obviously going to be big. But what I think really, obviously, the line starts to make sense. The more we're talking about it, yes, it makes sense at the -210 line. That maybe it makes sense actually. There's a lot of more paths for victory for Latifi, I think, than there is for Olynyk. Olynyk can be knocked out. There's a couple different paths here where Olynyk's not going to be, throwing these bombs and putting Latifi away. It's going to have to be on the ground. But the big thing here for me is the fact that Olynyk loves pulling guard. Now, he has done this against pretty much everybody. He has attempted to pull guard. He does not care. He's not good at level changes. He's not good at, throwing a double, getting a guy down, working top control. It's pretty much, the guy takes him down, he reverses, he'll grab a limb. Maybe he's looking to throw something, get someone in kind of maybe a submission hunting kind of position, gets him to the ground that way. He doesn't do it the traditional, I'm taking you down and work your top position. I don't think he just has that ability, especially at this point in his career. He's not all of a sudden going to be this takedown artist. But what I think is important here is the fact that Latifi is going to look for that. He's going to be diving forward. And I think that actually is not a good thing for Latifi. And I think that's where this actually goes the other way for me here, because when you're looking at it, Latifi's going to be shooting, he's going to be level changing, he's going to be looking to have the top control. So when he goes and shoots, there's opportunities for a lot of grabbing his neck, or what there is of a neck, of Latifi, and just finding opportunities to get in or sink something in and have an advantage once the fight gets to the ground. So if he's looking to pull guard, if Olynyk's looking to pull guard, Latifi's going to be fine with that. Some guys don't want to go down there, or they're uncomfortable with it. Latifi's going to say, I'm fine with this because I'm a wrestler. I feel like I'm going to have more control when I'm on top, which could be an issue, of course. But I really like the fact that Olynyk is going to be submission hunting. He has the opportunity to do certain things and control. We've seen also that Latifi has been reversed. He has been on top, in a great spot, side control, looking to do damage. All of a sudden, the opponent gets up. That, to me, shows a lot of opportunities for a guy like Olynyk, who really is crafty, a crafty veteran who can sink in any submissions. This guy's looking for I think it's his 60th MMA pro win he's looking for right now. So, and then when you've got Latifi doesn't do much when he's on the ground. We've seen it against Derek Lewis. We've seen it where he gets a guy down and he kind of just stays there. He kind of just he doesn't even do anything. I mean, literally, I was watching past Dave's. He'll get the top control, he'll work the body, he'll work the head, and after a while, the ref is standing them. I mean, if that's your main path, is this top control, you're a wrestler, he just kind of, once he gets it there, he just wants to just have that time, that top time, maybe looking to win on the judges' scorecards. That, to me, is not going to work against a guy like Olynyk, where if he's on the bottom, he is going to be consistently grabbing your arm, submission hunting. When he's laying on top of him, Olynyk is going to be plotting, planning, and I think that is really where, can the wrestler like Latifi defend this for that long? I don't think so here. Now, of course, you could get knocked out quickly. Olynyk kind of shells up. Latifi could throw a barrage and kind of end him, but I like where this positioning is. I think that, Latifi is defensively irresponsible when he's on top. He's more just like, again, he's leaving everything out there. He's just looking to kind of lay and pray and stay on top of you. So for me here, I really think that it makes sense here where you've got a guy like Latifi, minus 210, and then you've got heavyweight, the variance of heavyweight. At minus 210 is just crazy to me here. I'm taking Olynyk as a sprinkle here at plus 168. I like the line here. I think it's way off. There's some upside to finishing opportunities for him here, so I do like it. So that's going to be my free play there. Alexei Olynyk plus 165. So those are my plays for UFC on ESPN this weekend. We have been crushing it this year. Cashed in on 7 straight UFC events. We missed on the 8th. Again, just a little lost, but let's get back on track. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.